Welcome to the first episode of the Co-Mental podcast. You're joined by your hosts Muyo, which is me, and Des,
Which
which
is
is
me.
yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. This is our second attempt at making a podcast. Uh Hopefully with a bit more focus. Definitely
Yeah.
more of a which we will see how long that lasts.
I mean, in my defense, at least my meds are kicked in right now. They usually kick in about 2 o'clock now.
Well, that's good.
All right.
Yeah. My ADHD is unmedicated, so just
He's literally like the equivalent of, oh, I know ball. I know ball. We ball.
we've all. But yeah. Speaking of which, the idea behind this podcast is to talk about our mental health journey, our struggles with traversing said journey, and also what sort of, I guess, mental disorders we had to contend with, like since childhood and stuff.
And this is all, most of it's hypothesized, or, where we're like, this is a hunch, not necessarily a diagnose, but you'll also realize that most things are comorbid. So,
Oh yeah. Like in learning a lot about like through my own journey, learning about like the psychology of just like mental disorders and whatnot, you find that there is definitely a lot of comorbidity and just
mm,
so much overlap between different stuff. Like it's common. I find a lot on social media that a lot of people consider themselves ADHD, which is like autistic and ADHD, because there's some comorbidity, um, like mood dysregulation, uh, things involving stimuli, like
overstimuli or like under versus overstimulated.
yes.
Well, let's talk about how we had our old podcast, and this is our pretty much like regenerating the same sort of themes, but um with a new like refreshing vibe.
Yeah. Um, the old podcast, we didn't really have a direction,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say. It was kind of just like we talked about random stuff. Like the first episode, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
was us talking about what it would be like to be neurodivergent in the 1800s. And spoiler alert, not very fun. You
Nope, you'd
had,
be sent to a farm.
yeah, which is quite, I guess, interesting considering
Dude,
what.
I'm gonna be
Hmm?
fucked up with this, but I was like, well, if you think about it, people who at least are ADHD love on hands learning. So
Dude, it's true though.
we
Like sitting in
developed,
a
man.
dude, like high school was torture for me. And
Same.
it was only because of how boring classes were for me.
Yeah.
It's why I dropped out of college too. Like I just couldn't.
Same. I couldn't just make myself go to class anymore because I was like, dude, it's the same shit every single day. And I'm just gonna be staring at the wall.
Absolutely. Like I think during the last few months of college, I literally only went to uh like my tuba ensemble classes
Mhm.
because it wasn't, I mean, I say it was a class, but we were just rehearsing for concerts and stuff. So
Yeah.
which made my goopy goblin brain satisfied. So
You're
I
right.
still went to my tuba ensemble stuff, but I just dropped off the face of the earth when it comes to every other class. And like other teachers would ask my tuba ensemble professor, like, "Hey, is Muyo doing okay? Like, he kind of dropped off the face of the earth," and he's like, no, he's fine. He's still coming to tuba ensemble." So
You're like, I'm stimulated.
yes, I'm doing something I'm actually passionate in, and if it wasn't obvious before, I went to I attempted to go to college
Yeah.
to become a music educator.
Aw.
Um, yeah, in hindsight, music performance was more my style, but I didn't realize it then, and by that point, I'd already been flunking, so I wasn't really. I just didn't know what to do at that point, so I kind of just dropped out. But yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
that for me.
I think I dropped out because of, well, specifically, I was pretty much forced or wedged out of my family to be on my own. So that stress caused me to drop out for sure. But up until that point, I was technically one already behind a lot of students, my class, due to my undiagnosed self growing up in, you know, my school career. So starting college, I was already put behind others. And that kind of made me lose motivation because you realize how long college might take depending on which major you go through. And it's just like, man, that's a lot of responsibility and commitment and mental commitment on top of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I can relate. When I
Mm.
started college, they put me in a remedial English course.
So mine was math.
I'm surprised mine wasn't math, but
I'm surprised mine wasn't English.
I think it's because of my ACT scores actually.
Same.
Um, because oh yeah, definitely ADHD affects test taking as well. Who knew?
Oh yeah. Huh.
Because my English score was it below average?
Oh.
But it was only because I didn't actually finish the English portion. It wasn't because I got anything wrong.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah.
So yours was
So
because of slow test taking.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that just sucks. That's mean.
It is, but thankfully the course was very easy. Um,
Hmm.
you know,
Oh, in college.
yes. So
Okay.
it didn't take much it didn't take much effort on my part, but yeah, it was just a strange. I guess that goes to show that a lot of like the education system just isn't properly accommodating for things like that.
And that I mean it can be depending on what the school, what the resources, the funding for that, area, but also your parents, like if they're not economically sound and I mean also psychologically sound,
Hmm.
um you might not even know that you're struggling because of lack of attention, lack of resources, and lack of being able to actually understand what those signs look like too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
growing up, I had no idea,
Yeah.
and it did. That lack of understanding did bite me in the ass, and other people didn't really seem to understand either.
Mm.
I had a couple friends that suspected I had ADHD. Um, an example I like to use is I have a friend who I'm still very good friends with, but we were close friends in high school, and we were both in a psychology class, ironically.
I love psychology.
And of course, this psychology class was taught by a high school football coach because our high school was one of those small town high
Yep.
schools that every coach had to teach something other than
Yeah.
football, and so our psychology teacher was one of the football coaches, and
Interesting.
it was it, that whole class
Can you
was just
imagine?
interesting because the guy never went to school for psychology to begin
Oh
with,
my God.
and so he was just reading off. He was just going off in an itinerary that he was given
Uh,
for the course, which, you know, not his fault. He had to do something,
I wonder if he got some self reflection out of it.
I'm curious too,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So much of our coursework was based off the textbook and just like,
Mm,
I don't know. It was definitely not very uh
ideal.
involved.
Oh, involved. Yeah. I mean, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but we had a paper, and I
Yep.
forgot what kind of paper we were supposed to write and what the stipulations were, but um I was literally in our library unable to start working because
I hate that.
I could not think of how to start
Is
or where to
that's
go.
such a thing? It's like you're trying to start your train of thought. If I would have known that I had ADHD back then, I feel like if I would just like release some sort of pressure from overthinking on how to start and just going with the flow.
Yeah, like it it's crazy because like back then I was just beating myself up over it.
But they taught us to go by first paragraph. This is what you need. This is how to structure it. So you're overthinking the fucking structure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's rough. Like
It's rough out in the trenches.
and when I tell you, I was sitting there for a solid like 10 minutes
I
trying to
believe it.
figure out what I want to do. And
Then the anxiety from that.
and my friend saw this, and I
It's
still
like that
think it's funny.
SpongeBob scene when he's like,
Literally,
the.
that's probably the only word I had typed out for like for like a solid while. But my friend who saw me doing this
Oh my gosh.
literally um literally like
He paid attention to
found this like
psychology.
article. She found this
Oh,
article
she's
on
tight.
ADHD on it, and she
Oh
emailed
my
me a
gosh.
link to it
Oh my god.
while we were in the computer room.
Just nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
And
Let me airdrop
what is
this.
so funny about that whole thing
Like
was that
interaction.
she did get genuinely irritated about it. Turns
Oh,
out turns out that's also a symptom of ADHD because she wound up getting officially diagnosed with ADHD later on in life.
and that's a lot of grieving from that too when you're late diagnosed as well.
Yeah.
And depending on what you had experience, but yeah.
Hmm. But I just thought it was quite funny that um that, that I still laugh about it today because it's just,
How did you know? Oh, oh, we knew.
yeah, it's funny. She knew I had ADHD
She knew.
before she knew. Yeah, but like that's ADHD itself sort of presents itself
Yeah.
differently, like
In the
from person to
typical,
person.
well, yes, if you keep it from a non-binary standpoint or lack of gendered, yes, there are the common signs or traits. But another thing that a lot of case studies are figuring out or research um, is that each, like the genders show it differently too, more
Hmm.
often than not. Because well, it's not every single person's going to be the same. Like you fit in this box and you fit in this box. This is why we got here in the first place.
Literally.
We don't fit in a box.
That's why like the DSM criteria is for like diagnosing like psychological conditions. You know, you don't have to like present every single symptom
Yeah.
of a condition to have to be like um able to be clinically diagnosed.
Yeah.
Like I forget, and I mean I do have a copy of the DSM-5, but off the top of my head I can't remember how many of these symptoms of ADHD you would have to present to be classified as ADHD, but it's not doesn't have to be all of them at the same time. And a lot of it does come from like a childhood experiences and what sort of challenges you faced in schooling, because school's a big one.
Yeah.
School is notoriously more difficult for ADHD people.
especially public schooling when it has to be all systematic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ADHD people, or people that may have ADHD, have difficulty conforming to rigid structures.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Unnecessary trauma.
which, um, given that you take medication for ADHD,
Mhm.
um, how do you think that has, I guess, affected the symptoms?
Okay, yeah. Well, I take a non-stimulated medication because of my heart condition, and that already presents itself with different effects to someone who's neurodivergent compared to someone who's on, Adderall. So, as a kid, or I specifically want to more so focus on middle school slash high school as far as education without being diagnosed, I struggled with um, definitely like outside noises around me. Like if I was trying to study or trying to get work done, when people started talking and or they finished before me, I would get so distracted because I would like kind of fall into their conversations around me. And so, and that's if I was having the energy to put forward to schooling. The only other thing is the way that the public school system is set up. 8 hours, and you're going through each class. ADHD, we deal with a lot of burnout and information overload and stimulation overload. So you're adding that on top of already someone who's uh, their neurological uh, blueprint is already like uh different compared to what that system benefits. So it's not set up in a way that's constructive and beneficial for us. But now that I'm 26 and I work in a I don't work. I go to school in a cosmetology school, and it is program based, but we do have our tests. Um we have information we have to learn, we have to remember. But I think the only reason besides my medication that makes it work is because it is hands on. So, and you can form your studying whichever way makes sense and whichever way is helpful. And there's not a lot of restriction towards it. So I think that's why it's ideal. Now, my medication, whenever I get when I'm focused on something like physically, then I'm fine. Like it does a really good job at keeping me on task and wanting to get stuff done. If I'm already working on said task, if I'm not, then my idle thoughts, I'll hyperfixate on that. And depending on what your emotional temperament is and your mental health, like space that you're at, that's not always a good thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a double-edged sword, depending on who is the one taking it. For me, it's been fine. Like I haven't really uh, haven't seen as much of an issue, but I did for a while, and I still somewhat do believe that I'm on the autism spectrum because they say if you are on the spectrum amongst both things, that ADHD meds will quiet the ADHD side and the more autistic side will take more effect. And I have noticed that
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly. Like I don't become as animated. I stare off, I get spacey, but it's almost like when it comes to stimulation though and like outside around people and conversation, my threshold jumps to like very minimal, and I have to put like earbuds in to kind of desensitize myself from people. it, so there are good and bad things with it, but it does also make me really sleepy. So
Okay.
yeah.
I do hear that the sleepiness is a pretty common side effect.
Yeah, and
Um,
it says like it should only last for like a month or two. I've been taking it for almost 2 years. I'm still sleepy every day. I'm
I
like,
can I can relate. I don't take ADHD meds. I don't have an official ADHD diagnosis, but my psychiatrist does believe I do have ADHD, but
yeah,
not severe enough for me to be on medication if I can help it.
interesting.
Yeah. Um
What has to be severe, you know?
yeah,
And is that more
it's
subjective?
it's it is he did tell me like it would be up to me to determine if I
Oh,
really needed the medication. I guess I should have started with that. Whoopsies.
he didn't give you a goal to hit.
Yeah, yeah, no. This was all like what I like about like my current psychiatrist is so much of like the treatment has been like sort
You
of
based.
me based. Yes.
Mm.
Um so like if I don't want to take medication or if I don't feel like I need it anymore, then um I could be taken off of it if I wanted to. But for me, I take the only one I take so far is sertraline,
Yeah.
and I've been taking
Oh
that
yeah, I forgot we take
for
the same thing.
oh yeah, yeah. Um, as for
Antidepressant.
I was officially diagnosed with uh, depression and social anxiety disorder, and which sertraline is generally the first line of treatment for both, actually.
Hmm.
So, kind of worked out pretty well for me so far. And that's the other thing. Going back to the comorbidity is that a lot of like ADHD symptoms and depression symptoms do also have some comorbidity and anxiety as well.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So so far the goal, at least for my treatment, has been to sort of control the depression and anxiety symptoms and see like if then I will need to seek medication for my ADHD or if things are manageable enough for me. Um,
Hmm.
so at least on the depression and the anxiety side, things have been more manageable and my medication has worked very well, which is apparently a rarity um, for a first attempt at medication to work so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's just been good. And I've been taking it for, um, I think like a year and 3 months, something like that.
Hmm.
I think I started in like September of last year.
Yeah.
So a year and a couple months and some change. I don't know. Um, but yeah, but I do relate with the suspected like autism.
Hmm.
Um, although I don't think either of us have actually went to take the
Yeah.
test. It is expensive.
My therapist, one of my many therapists, has told me that he knows someone who does it for like $200, $300.
Really,
Yeah. And I'm like, well,
that's
this has been a change.
that's something to consider. That's
I've
wow.
thought about it. I'm like, we'll see. Because I got other comorbidities going on.
We're just a we're a soup of mental health disorders over here,
Yeah. Yeah.
as you guys will come to find out
Yeah.
in the future if you haven't already. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like this is like literally like if my mental orders were like a creme brulee, this is like the torch part. Like it's like, okay, you're kind of heated things up, but you don't know. It's like you don't know.
got the nice toasted layer on top.
Exactly.
God, I haven't had creme brulee in so long. Uh, where do we go from here? How did
Um,
uh
how did we get here?
how did
Um,
we get here? This is um this is the fun of having
podcasting.
co-hosts that have ADHD.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
let's ow. Let's ow. What the fuck? Yes, I'm good. Um, okay, let's talk about this because okay, I'm gonna put us in a area of life that every person goes through. And it's gonna take us back to high school. All right.
Okay.
So from the ages of 13 up to 18, 19 years old, that is the beginning stages of each child forming their identity. And when you think about someone who's undiagnosed and put in a place where they're not meeting the bars on some things, but then they're also exceeding expectations in other areas. Um, how do you think a person might succumb to like whatever conclusion they would put about their identity? Because you got to think the emotional and hormonal development too. And we're talking about mental health here.
Yeah. Hmm. I think that especially in that age, it's it's easy to let a lot of that stuff affect your self-image,
Mm,
and which I relate to person on a personal level because it did affect my own self-image.
I relate.
And yeah, and at least in my own experience, it's it makes you feel like there is just something wrong with you,
Yeah.
and for you not to be meeting certain expectations and to not really achieve some of the same things that other people around you have achieved. And one of the things I was very good at in high school was the musical arts.
Same.
And that's something I'm still, well, I've been out of practice for a long time now, but I'm sure if I picked it up again and, you know, brushed the rust off as you, I don't know, I would probably be able to get back to that skill level. But that, that was like the one thing I sort of, kind of revolved around.
Is that like you almost like in a way, um, not over identified, but that was like it was one slash comfort, a connection in which you enjoyed having with yourself and like your development, but also something that probably did bring you some sense of joy and accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like I felt genuinely proud of myself, performing in front of other people and
Mm. Yeah.
doing it well. Even like there was one year I made it to, I think it was my junior year of high school. I made it to the all county band,
Hell yeah.
and which is a decent deal, for high school students because it looks good on like college applications, and
Yeah.
you open the door to scholarships and whatnot and stuff like that. But that's like the other side of that, is despite having that pride and sense of accomplishment, I never had the motivation to actually practice at home.
Yeah.
And it
I get that
actually
too.
do what?
I get that too. Well, I wasn't ever really left alone. So I was like, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would make that would make it
That would
difficult.
put some wrenches in that, yeah.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yeah. Um which kind of goes back to why I suspect I have ADHD because motivation's another big part of it too. And I did.
We've always talked about that, Malia, with you.
Oh yeah. That's like one of my biggest sort of
Challenges?
challenges. Yeah, is just the motivation aspect. And
Yeah.
at least in high school, part of it was my depression, was like pretty
Yeah.
severe. Well, for me it for me it was severe.
Yeah. Well, let me
Um
bring this up to you. Like, if you are constantly under, like, being, you're missing the mark, and then you're also feeling some sort of isolation slash ostracization from your peers around you, and maybe some form of shame or judgment of not feeling good enough or not feeling like feeling that there's something wrong with you. All that like being potentially projected onto you, whether you're internalizing it or it actually is being spoken to you, that mental state is going to easily put someone in a depressed mentality for long periods of time, and they're going to lose motivation because they don't have anything to feel like it needs to come from within, not external. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree. For me, I think it's both a chemical imbalance and like external factors. So
isn't that like nature versus nurture?
maybe?
I think so, because nature is just how you naturally are, right? Which, you know, and then nurture is your environments.
I'm naturally depressed.
Well, you said chemically imbalanced. So.
Yeah. I'm all natural.
Yeah. But also, you fuckers.
Yeah, there was a bit of both going on in high school. And that
comes down to the whole identity thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So having both of those aspects influenced by depression was not fun. For sure. And it continued into like well into my 20s, honestly. Like my early 20s was so not great mentally for me.
Look, I want to throw this one at you as far as high school. Did you ever, at any point in high school, did you ever self-medicate at all? Meaning, did you smoke? Did you drink? Did you like substance abuse?
I didn't use substances, no.
Okay, so the thing about that, though, is like, especially when people aren't regulated or haven't found ways on how best to regulate themselves, when they do end up becoming older and they are introduced to like certain substances, they're more than likely to latch onto those because it does bring some mental and stimulant release, you know? And that's why I'm like, it's also worse when you don't have that as a kid. And not that you should have it, but...
Yeah, for me, I am definitely glad I didn't turn to substances. But the main reason why I didn't was because I was afraid of breaking the rules.
Same. I don't need another Bartimus, man.
Because like, look, my older brother, and thankfully, he is sober from like any hard drugs, thankfully.
A win's a win.
So I am proud of him for that. But like back then, it was
rough.
It was rough. So I guess growing up, I just honestly never wanted to touch that shit. Even like while I was like during my darkest like bouts of depression. Yes, my darkest hours. I just never had that sort of want or need to try anything like that, and it was definitely a good thing I didn't, because that would have
caused more hinder than benefit.
Oh yeah, it would have complicated things so much more, like, because
I relate to that
stuff.
Oh yeah. No, carry on. Because that stuff
doesn't really help in the long run.
It's a Band-Aid. Yeah,
it's a Band-Aid to I guess a gunshot wound. I don't know. You wouldn't use a Band-Aid to fix a gunshot wound.
Yeah. And you would get surgery to get the bullet out. So.
Yes. So yeah. Don't do drugs, kids. Although if you're a kid, you shouldn't be watching this.
But also don't let drugs do you.
Yes.
Yeah. Because at first you do it and you're like, nah, I can handle this. And then eventually you learn that you can't handle it.
Because of Mother Russia, drugs do you.
Yeah. And we do drugs together. Community effort. I kind of want to bounce on that too. Oh my god, that sounded so
Oh
wrong.
my god.
I want bounce on it.
Crazy style.
But no, like when you said like if you were introduced to that sort of substance abuse, uh, a self-regulating atmosphere, like in the times that you were severely depressed, how much even more like worse it would be as far as like development and mental health, because
Hmm.
all you're doing is numbing the pain. It's a symptom, not the it's a symptom to the issue.
Yes.
Yes. And I look back at like my childhood, especially in high school. And for me, music was my drug of choice for self regulation. Like I was like, whether it was playing guitar, writing music, and or singing, or listening to music, all up in the, all night, in my own little mental cave. And and that did bring me great relief, is my own like mental mind to a degree. But and of course I did self-harm, so that became a whole other self-regulation in itself. But when it comes to drug abuse and drinking abuse and things like that, I feel like it would have been 10 times even worse at that age or at that stage in my life, because with the severity of some of the stuff I went through, I'm sure I would have just, been like, fuck it, we ball, like I wouldn't have
Hmm.
cared about how it affected me, and stuff like that. Whereas now I have more empathy towards myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. Empathy is a good word for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or self-compassion. Yeah.
Definitely.
Because you wouldn't want a friend to struggle. So it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, let me take that back also. Yes, self-harm was part of it, but another regulation was relationships for me, like dating. Like it helped me avoid. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I come from a family that had partners and partners and partners. Yeah.
That's
Codep-
fair.
well, substance abuse is a very codependent behavior mechanism, and so is relationships if you're not healthily um, processing and going through those. Yeah. It's
Oh yeah.
attachments. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Two sides of the same coin.
Right. And so, like, it's like the difference between me and you, though, because you've talked about how, and this might be because of that social isolation that you had, that you had a harder time finding or like, I don't want to say attracting partners, but attracting uh, experiences to have that at that age. Me, it wasn't so difficult, but it was still like hindering, because you get like the high of a relationship, and then when it falls apart, or if something just it's just like a little nick, it feels like your arm's been cut off essentially.
Hmm.
And that goes into people who actually like can develop BPD too, or like are born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, maybe it's me. Maybe she's born. But that's like our two differences. It's like you lack the attachment of that part in your development, whereas I was overtly attached, and that became part of my identity, was like the fixer, the mediator, the yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And going off of that, your point about me not really seeking those experiences actually was also another thing I've thought was wrong about myself too,
Oh.
because as because of that, I didn't really attract the romantic interests that I wanted to attract.
Mm.
And that sort of also just sort of, I kind of took negatively.
You're like, and I took that personally.
Yeah. And I, so much of my journey growing up was, and so much of my mental journey in general has involved having more compassion for myself
Yeah.
and not being hurtful to myself, like emotionally.
Yeah.
For me personally, I never, there were forms of self harm, but it wasn't cutting.
Mine was
Um,
burning.
hmm,
Yeah. Because it's not as like sharp painful as like cutting is, but it's like that stimulation painful.
okay,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um,
Also did it in front of people at school too.
oh wow, a bit of exhibitionist here.
Mm. They didn't believe me, so I said, okay. You'll
I'm
believe me
sure they,
now.
I'm sure they believed you after that.
Yeah. Okay, but what was what was your vice?
My vice,
Yeah.
I would, I guess, punch my leg.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you know
I
how some
punched
people
myself, yeah.
slam their like hand against the table and they're pissed or whatever.
Yeah.
I did that with my leg because it was a form of self harm for me.
Well, I definitely feel like you like okay, did you have a lot of like angry outbursts as a teenager? Or did you
Uh,
internalize it?
I internalized a lot of it.
See, mine was a bit of both, but I definitely like was more external and then I became more internal over time. Yeah.
Okay.
And that goes down to that regulation, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mood dysregulation for the win.
Oh yeah, baby. That's why when people are like, oh my gosh, we were watching this video on TikTok and it was like songs that you could not crash out to. And the first one was a I said, if you're psychotic enough, then yes, you can
Yeah.
crash out to that one.
Why do you think people hate clowns? Like, that's like,
Yeah.
oh, we. All
I was like,
right.
I could crash out to that.
I I could too.
Oh yeah.
That
And I'll be laughing while I do it. I'm like
oh man. Okay, let's see. We talked about well, I talked about
schooling.
well, I talked about my diagnosis, schooling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay. Can I talk a little bit about my diagnosis journey with it? Just a
uh,
little bit?
sure, absolutely.
Okay. So, um, some people do show like we talked about the male versus female like characteristics when it, specifically we'll talk about ADHD. Um, symptoms that people usually look for in development, especially fundamental behaviors as a kid, And for me was as I'm doing right now, I know y'all guys won't be able to see it, but I'm rocking back and forth. Been doing that since I was at least 2 or 3. Like there's video proof of it. And I'm like this close to the TV. So I'm like, yeah, there's some stimulation and my head's cocked to the side. So I'm like, come on, man. It's right there in front of you guys. Um, that was a big one. I did have a lot of intense emotions as even as a really young kid to the point like my mom would say like you're being too sensitive. And so that should have already been a known indicator of okay, her regulation is not the best. And as I got older, like I remember this one experience with my grandpa. I was like maybe 5 or 6, and I said like I literally fucking forgot something that he had told me to do, and it was like clean my room or something. But I didn't do it all day. I got distracted playing with My Little Ponies, and I remember the day of like later on that day, he was like, "Did you clean your room?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh, because I forgot." And he was like, "Well, that's not an excuse." And I'm like, "It really isn't an excuse." Like, I genuinely did fucking forget. But that was a lot of things that I got reprimanded for was for forgetting things, for not having the best emotional regulation. And then having the whole um, stimulations, I guess, or what do they call it? Stims.
Stims, yeah.
Yeah. And so And I even noticed that like at school too, like where I would play with my pencils and crayons and stuff like that instead of paying attention in class, and the teachers would get mad at me because I wouldn't be paying attention. But boy, when it was lunchtime, hell yeah. I mean, so there was a lot of that stuff. And then when I got to like maybe fifth grade to beginning of middle school, I internalized a lot of my stuff because I was met with a lot of judgment and shame and self ostracized. I wouldn't say self, but just like social alienation, whether someone thought I was weird or someone, was like, oh, this girl ain't right. Like, but I also, I will say, at least I wasn't the kid that was hissing at people. So I knew people like that. They're like, I'm a cat. I'd be like, okay. But I always end up being friends with them because I was like, I got no one else. So it was either someone who was, okay, I was friends with someone who either hissed, someone who broke their leg, or someone who was diabetic. I'm like, okay, these are my options. So I took what I could. But as I got older, like when I was in middle school, I did more so isolate and like become really quiet. I got really into a lot of like my personality developed really early though as a kid. That was something I did notice compared to other kids my age. Like I was more into like alternative goth stuff when I was in fifth grade. Was I met with backlash from kids my age? Yes. And then later on they would do the same thing and I was like, well, fuck you. Anyways, I still hold that grudge where my rejection wound fucking comes from. No. But the emo never dies. By like sixth grade, seventh grade, I would say seventh grade was when I finally when I started cutting myself. But I stopped later on and then I picked up the burning habit. But my school grades, this was one big pattern that I saw every fucking year. And like up to about fifth grade was when I finally became hyper aware of it. And I told a teacher this, which cracks me up. She didn't listen. She didn't pay attention. She didn't understand this, but it did happen. I always, when I started the school year, because of the novelty and the newness and the freshness, I was always like, I'm going to do really good this year. And I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to be the best student in this class. That would last like within like 3 months and drop right down. And in fifth grade, I told my teacher this because I just became aware of it, by this point. And I don't think that ever really changed. The only time I did somewhat decent with it was 12th grade and kind of the first year of college. Like my mom was so perplexed my first semester because she was looking at me like, your whole academic career up to this point has been troubling, but in college you're exceeding, which makes no sense. And I don't think it made sense to me too. I was like, maybe it's because it's a real world, like I know this shit's important. And that might have been it, like priority thing. But yeah, like I'm sure there were so many signs and characteristics, but another defining thing was when I was in high school, one of the first few times in which I was actually able to study was when I put music in my ear with no lyrics, like no one's singing, just like background music. And I didn't have to listen to my whole family distracting me and whatnot. And I actually got shit done. And I was like, wow, okay. Like that should have been a sign. And then the other sign was procrastination to a T. I could do my projects within like 2 to 3 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I told you how I wrote my 7-page psychology essay in college within like a whole day that it was due.
That's so much more impressive than what I did because for my psychology paper, I might have taken
enhancements.
My
oh, never mind.
No.
I
might have taken no. I might have taken Wikipedia for its word if you catch my meaning.
Yeah. And how did that pan out for you?
Well, you see, my teacher didn't care
Yeah,
So he
I was
didn't
like, wait a
check
second.
he didn't check any of the papers for plagiarism.
Okay.
So I not saying that I did because that would be wrong and illegal probably. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that paper exists anymore in my
Yeah.
opinion, but um just saying that, you should don't plagiarize. Never,
But you should
ever.
utilize your resources.
Utilize your resources. Don't copy things word to word. Um, but I'm just saying I can relate because
How to use
anyway,
other means.
I had to use
Um,
other methods
I
to.
was I had another thought to this. So remember how I told you like when I was in college, I was in the intermediate math classes?
Mhm.
Well, I realized why my struggle was it's partly it's not that it was the reason. I'm not excusing my poor, comprehensive skills when it comes to math. But every year without missing a beat, I was always given a math teacher that either A wasn't there, B quit, or C was too old to actually handle the students. So my first year of freshman year, I had this one teacher. I think his name was Mr. Young, and he was old actually, which is very funny. Um, and I wanted to switch to a teacher called Mr. Hand. Not joking. Um, and I did. Like I went up to the counselor and said, "Can you please switch me to this class because too many people are talking. I cannot focus." Like I was always put in this. I'm not trying to say they were stupid. I'm just saying like it was the lower of the of the academic, uh, ladder. So
Mhm.
I was always put in that. And so she was like, "Okay." So and it was early in the year that I was like, "This shouldn't be an issue." So got switched there, and then that teacher, Mr. Hand, decided with Mr. Young that, hey, it'd be really cool if we switch our classes. I ended up back in Mr. Young's classroom by the end of
That's
that semester.
why did they do that?
I don't know. I still don't know to this day. And maybe he was like, I think what might have happened was like the whole like, hey, my class is being disruptive. I can't get a handle on them. So Mr. Hand, can you help give me a hand and we'll switch our classes? And I just happened to be in the damn like
He had the hand. Damn. So if you had waited, you would
yeah.
have gotten out of his class anyway. That's crazy.
So that was freshman year. Sophomore year, honestly, I think I blacked it out. I don't remember what happened that year. Get to geometry class of junior year, and honestly, I couldn't pay attention barely in that class because by that point, I just mentally, and emotionally checked out of anything school related because of trauma that I was going through. But when I got to senior year, we had a teacher. I think his name was Mr. Dyer, and he oh wait, I remember what happened junior year. We had a substitute from the beginning of the year back and forth, each substitute to rotation, all the way up to Christmas break. And then that last substitute teacher ended up getting like working there full time. And she just wasn't that good. Like I just remember being like everyone took like advantage of her, like kindness and things like that. So she just wasn't like nothing was getting done. Um and then senior year, Mr. Dyer came back to the school because he was on pretty much OSS detention, I guess. For a lie though, like it really wasn't fair to him. He's such a sweet old man. But was in his class and kind of similar to the sophomore teacher, kind of got taken advantage of a lot. Couldn't really get a handle on the class, and yeah, I just checked out. So I never had a good math teacher.
Man, that is
So
awful luck.
I was like, the math ain't math, and the universe is telling
it,
me no.
it really ain't, man.
Yeah, I was like, if I had to, was it play any like gambling with not gonna happen. Like, I got too many wounds on that one.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Um, so something that jumped out to me
Hmm.
is the blocking out of like stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Um, Mainly because like I had a similar thing, like going through the woes of my depression,
Hmm.
where like my sophomore year of high school, I don't remember most of it.
Yeah.
That was like, and specifically it was because during that time period was when my depression was the absolute worst.
Right.
And so my brain just kind of like auto blocks it. And like I can remember a lot of like my junior, senior, and freshman years, but sophomore year is just like it's weird.
Hmm.
And yeah.
I feel
And
like,
of course, you don't have to go into the specifics of why that is.
yeah.
But just thought that was interesting to point out, and that
Hmm.
that is a pretty normal, because depression is also traumatizing too, in a
Yeah,
way.
especially at a young age when you're not readily have the resources to cope with it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the, I guess, first line defenses for your brain to protect itself from traumatic events is to sort of try to block the memory
Hmm.
out so that you don't, I guess, mentally re-experience it.
Your brain is like, this is not optimal.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was junior year in particular, and I won't go into detail, but I would say like the like mid to end senior year, I mean sophomore year to about the end of junior year, like all of that for the most part is blocked out. And like I know bits and pieces, and I know the defining traumas that came from those years, but when it comes to like school, yeah, I wasn't there. I can't tell
Yeah.
you. So relatable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have been going for an hour.
Yeah. Um, Hopefully we have introduced ourselves enough and um,
Adequately enough.
adequately enough. Uh, yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I shit. I don't
It
even
was
know how
all
to end
over the
this.
it was all over the road, but it was intentionally all over the road because
Hmm.
you need to get a feel of the way that we communicate and the way that we address things and talk about things. Um, and if you're willing to be on the train with us, the train of thoughts,
Hmm.
then, come back and listen to what we got to talk about. I mean, I know this is going to be a lot of like our own personal experiences through one figuring out slash navigating life and certain stages of development, reflecting back on previous experiences and what we feel like would have been more ideal or beneficial, knowing what we know now about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And none of this is meant to be taken as professional medical advice because
Us
neither of
professionals.
us are professionals, and we both seek medical professionals ourselves
Yeah.
to
I've been
treat
in the game for
our
6 years.
oh yeah. And for me it's been like a couple years at least.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've known you for almost 4 years now, and I think at least like within the like the 6 month mark of like knowing each other, I believe you started going to therapy.
It was something like that. Maybe like a year after, I don't know. It was something like that.
Maybe,
Maybe.
yeah,
Um but it's been a hot minute, but we're
yeah.
still, it's something we're both still learning, still growing with, and you know, we just feel that sharing our experiences could help.
Alleviate whatever thought process you might have with your own maybe internalized inadequacies.
Oh yeah. But I guess like the main thing that I wanted to like sort of do with the podcast is sharing our experiences so that other people that have went through similar things and are experiencing similar things to us or had similarly turbulent childhoods like we both did
Mm-hmm.
would find
Comfort.
some level of comfort and I guess some like yeah, I guess comfort in
Comfort.
knowing
Yeah.
that, you know, they're not alone in
And
those
there's nothing wrong with
experiences.
you.
Yeah, nothing.
You're not defective. You're not faulty. You're not um less than another person beside you. Your struggles are valid.
Absolutely. And you're
Mm,
not alone.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of like the whole gist of
The premise of it, yeah.
the premise of this whole show. We hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. Don't
Welcome.
know.
Hi.
Welcome. Yes. We'll definitely try to keep this going. Yeah, we'll think of other topics
Yes.
that sort of delve into specific areas of our psyches and, you know, like
Mhm.
obviously we touched a lot on like ADHD and depression this episode,
Right.
but I think there's still more that we can like discuss.
Oh yeah, we can
Um
flesh out things.
oh yeah. And you know, there's other stuff as well that we may have not received official diagnosis on.
We're still developing ourselves.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Um thank you for listening.
Follow if you
This
like,
yes, you know, come back next time if you so want,
if you dare.
if you dare.
Maybe that's what we should talk about next. Dare.
Oh my god.
If you
What
want to talk
a
about plagiarism, honey, I got you.